Welcome to Feeling Asian, a podcast where two Asians talk about their feelings. I'm Youngmi Mayer.
And I'm Brian Park. And we had our live show. And it went so well, Youngmi.
Yeah, we had it last night. And it did go very well. And everybody was so great. And we had so much fun. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. I mean, that's gonna play into how I'm feeling currently. But, you know, I'm still feeling buzzy from our show last night. So just had to get that out there.
Yeah, but we did have our amazing live show, but we're back in the recording studio, aka Brian's bedroom and my bedroom, because we have such an excellent, amazing guest today. And
back in the studio, baby.
And yeah, we talked to her already. We had a little pre-interview, and I got really excited because everything that she was talking about was like really fascinating, and I feel like she has such a fresh approach to a topic that I feel like people think that they understand, but I feel like nobody understands as well as our guest.
So, listeners, please give your ears to bonafide internet it girl, Rachel Nguyen.
Hello.
How'd I do with that intro?
Oh my God. I'm quaking. I love it.
Yay. She's here.
I love it. What an entrance. And I'm like, oh wow, I got a lot to step into right now. Big shoes. And also this energy of this live show you guys did. Which, tell me about it. You guys just did a live show, and then like hearing immediate feedback is like really fun. Is that what was happening?
Well,
yeah,
feedback?
Basically. I mean, we were just it's sold out, and so there were, it was a standing room only show, and just doing comedy shows is really great. It's an art form that is unique in that the feedback is very immediate, and you're there to observe it and experience it.
The live show isn't the podcast recording live. It's just a different entity. So it's like a variety show. It's a game show, and we like focus on the audience. So it's not just like
cool.
So it's like a fun game show, and it's very actually different than the podcast, right, Brian? Like the energy. It's just like really goofy. And, but we do talk about our feelings, and we talked about what we were ashamed of on stage. And I did a deep Korean bow.
All highlights, all good things. So essentially our live show is, Rachel, you are very proficient and adept at YouTube. So it's like when you load a YouTube video and you get a lot of negative comments, it's the opposite of that experience. So very good.
What a rush.
It's an opposite of negative YouTube comments.
Been there, been in that position too. It's not fun to be in.
The internet is not fun. Rachel Nguyen. I'm quoting you on that.
Oh, well, I actually love the internet. I still love the internet, and I want to hold my integrity of love for the internet by like protecting it as much as I can in like my own space, especially as we're all so plugged in now. But I don't know. It's always been an amazing place for me. And like, of course, there's so many reasons to be like turned off by it or judge it. But I don't know. It's a special place for me and a lot of people. It's just like how you frame your relationship with it.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'm sure you can offer up
I'm getting
more
deep
insights.
already. I'm sorry.
No, we love it. That's why we're here.
We love it. That's what we want. That's what we want.
Yeah, that's what people want to hear, because people think that they know about the internet, but like, who better than to like talk about
bonafide internet it girl.
Internet it girl. But before we talk to you about that, Rachel, Brian, how are you feeling?
Spoiler alert. I basically am feeling the same way that I did up top on this episode, and I'm gonna keep it short. Yeah, 10 seconds ago. Not much has changed since then, but to keep it short and sweet, I am I'm very, very happy, and I'm very, very proud of us, Youngmi, because we did our live show at the Bell House in Brooklyn, and I remember when I first started doing comedy, I'd seen so many great comedians on that stage before. Like I'd seen like Nathan Fielder do a sold out show there. And, I always like had this dream of performing there one day. Just like, oh, it'd be so great to be able to perform on that stage where like so many other comedians that I looked up to had performed before. And I'm really proud that I was able to accomplish that dream / goal, but I'm especially proud of us because we were able to do it on our own terms. And we did it because we fucking sold out our own live show. And there's nothing better than that. And the energy was incredible. And I just want to thank all of the listeners who came out to support us at the live show. And overall, I'm just very, very happy and very, very proud of us. So that's how I'm feeling. How about you, Young Mi?
Oh, very similar. I feel like it's a big I like struggle. I feel like when people see the show, they don't understand before they go there what it is. And so I have a hard time when people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see your show, and then like at the end they're like, what the fuck, that was so fucking amazing. I'm like, my mind is blown. And I'm like, yeah, I've been telling you it's fucking good. Like, why did you know what I mean? It's almost like it has this weird feeling, and it's like, it's hard to like absorb that in a positive way. Like a lot of people come up to me and say like, that's like the only comedy show that I ever enjoyed. Cause you go to stand-up shows and it's just like people talking at you and you're sitting still. And this is a very different show. It's like everyone's running around and like, you gotta like touch stuff with your butt. And you know, and like drink. Last night somebody drank a cup of hot dog water. Yeah, and I don't know why. We didn't force her to. She chose to, and she's a real one for that.
Well, the audience chose on behalf of her. So shout out to Mina.
Shout out to Mina. I don't know. She had a choice. And it's just like, it's fun. And I was talking to my therapist actually about the show, and I was like, I really love it, and I can't really put my finger on why. And she was like, I think it's because like COVID made us so fucking depressed because there's so many rules and so many restrictions. And I was telling her like, I don't want to do stand-up anymore. I don't want to see stand-up shows anymore, and I don't know why. And she was like, well, it's rigid. There's so many rules. It's like, this happens, this happens, this happens. You can't stand up. You have to blah, 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 whatever. And this show just seems like people just like fucking farting and whatever and running around, and it doesn't make any sense, and it's chaotic. And I was like, that's literally exactly it. Like, literally, like, all I want to do now is fucking be weird and stupid and like play limbo with a bunch of Asian people, you know what I mean, and celebrate like just being fucking Asian and not. And I was talking to somebody after the show about this. I was like, this is so nice that we have this Asian thing where it's not, we're now going to have discourse about how people are getting punched in the streets. Like, yes, that's important to talk about, but like, we don't always have to fucking be sitting there sad about it and like write poems about like our cranes and like fucking cherry blossoms or whatever, that's like important. But like, we also just need to have fun and like not be sad. And I feel like this is what it is, it's just happy, light energy. And in the midst of that, in the show, I a lot of times feel I get like teary-eyed because it's like, sorry, now I'm getting emotional. It's like I'll like look out into the audience and there'll be just like a bunch of Asian people like fucking having fun, and it's just like we're just like, we're not like worried about whatever. And it's like that's the part of it that feels really magical to me. And I'm just so, like how you feel, Brian. I'm so thankful and grateful for the people that like support us and show up. And I'm so happy that we get like the honor to make a space for that, for other Asian people to just have fun with each other and not have to think about things, That's like what comedy is, Things are shitty, and you go to a show and you fucking laugh with your friends and you get drunk and that's it. The vibes are great, right? Vibes are great. Everyone was so nice. Everyone was so cool. No one gives a shit about anything. It just felt really great. But that's how I feel. It's a lot of emotions. It was very roller coastery, but.
Oh, well, I think you said it beautifully, Young Mi.
Thanks, Brian. How about you, Rachel? How are you feeling?
Well, now I'm feeling really like touched that I get to walk into this space that you guys have like are carrying into and sustaining that, and I just feel an honor to be here, honestly. I'm also full of nootropics right now, so because I wanted to make sure my brain was sharp. I just like went in my medicine cabinet. I was like, what can I take right now? I'm like, NutriFocus and like focus, CBD.
Oh
like just took a bunch of stuff.
Well, we're honored
I feel great.
to have you here. It's such an honor to speak to all these wonderful Asian people. So, wait, what was it?
Nootropics.
Nootropics?
Nootropics.
What are those?
Yeah, I'm gonna apologize ahead of time because I use words wrong all the time.
I understand. Like there's supplements, right? That are
they are
for
supplements.
brain
But I want to
function?
get the right words.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drugs, supplements, and other substances that are claimed to improve cognitive function, particularly executive functions, attention, memory, creativity. Lots of like nootropics come from like mushrooms and stuff.
Ooh.
And
So
like
you're-
other weird things who I don't even know, but I'm like nootropics. I love them. I feel great when I take them.
Wow.
Thank you for doing
So
that.
you're feeling
You're gonna-
tapped. Thank you for doing that. You're tapped. You're in the
Tapped,
matrix
plugged
right now.
in. Oh, I'm plugged in, sweeties. Like I'm here. Well, thank you for sharing all that. I mean, that's really cool that I like truly it's cool that not only you guys create physical spaces for that, but digital spaces and conversations that like
Yeah.
are not always so heady and because like life is heavy and like
It is.
the journey of like being and navigating and unlearning immigrant things in America is like heavy and like sometimes it's just nice to not just take things so seriously, and it also means that like laughing doesn't mean that like laughing's a superpower.
It
Laughing,
is.
being able to laugh in the face of adversity is incredible.
Yeah.
And I think very often people are like, if you're laughing, that means you're not taking it serious enough. I'm like, bitch, get off my case. I am more powerful than in this because I'm able to laugh a little bit and I'm not like sulking in like unproductive feelings.
Yep. Yeah, I
Wow.
agree. And like laughing is like how people process trauma and hardship at times. Like I don't know if that's what you're saying, Rachel, but sometimes when things go wrong with me, I like my brain just naturally starts to make jokes and stuff, and I feel like it's like trying to soothe itself. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Let's go. I'm all about it. You know,
Let's
I used to
fucking go.
I used to theorize that in a post-apocalyptic world, I would have no value add as a comedian, but thanks to your words, Rich, now I'm like, you know what? I have value. Laughter.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I am not going to get killed off immediately if it was a post-apocalyptic world.
No, I think you guys said it. We actually need this so bad right now. Like post panda, like we're still shedding like a lot of the, you know, what lockdown did, what so much of the pandemic did for us. I mean, it was truly a big domino effect, which we don't even need to go into like that unboxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot.
Well, Rachel,
Well, can we take a breath together?
Yes,
do it.
please.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just
do
like. Well, I'll count it in. We'll do a 6 count breath where breathe in for 6, hold for 6, breathe out for 6, and it'll just get us all on the same page.
Yeah.
all right, let's do it.
Okay. And get ready for a nice big inhale in 3, 2, 1 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. Exhale slowly through the nose for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. One more inhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then big exhale through the mouth. Let it go.
And I hope the listeners did that with us. Now, oh my God, I feel so
Wow.
much better already.
This is amazing.
Yeah, now
was
we're
excellent.
really
Feeling
vibing.
Asian
Hey.
That was
We're
excellent. We should
tapped
do that
in.
every episode.
We're plugged in.
We're
Well,
super plugged in now.
We'll credit Rachel every time we do it though, because this is her trademark.
No.
So, Rachel, before we start with the questions, I want to ask you about your apartment, because if you're watching YouTube, you can see it's so pretty. I want to talk about your fry pan. Is that a Le Creuset baby
The
pink,
pink
fry
one?
pan? Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Wow.
That was a Christmas gift for my mom maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Nice.
And what a great gift.
What a
I really
great
love
gift.
that thing.
You know what's
Great gift.
funny? I also got a pink Le Creuset as a gift, and I've had it for 5 years. I did not know you could burn it and break it. Whoops.
Oh, they're
ruined
like
mine.
indestructible. Oh, you did. I
I
mean, like
did.
mine's so fucked up. So you know,
but
it's
but
fine.
Youngmi destructed hers though.
I did
Wait,
it.
how did you?
I did
like
it,
full on,
everyone.
like you can't use it.
Yeah, the bottom started cracking off. So I was steaming, fucking like an Asian, steaming dumplings, and I left it. It was on high, and I didn't leave it that long, but the entire bottom was like burnt black. And then I went to wash it, and all the enamel cracked off. So Le Creuset,
Holy shit!
I did it. you thought, but I can destroy your products.
Dude, I would be emailing PR right away, being
Right?
like, "Excuse me, is this supposed to happen? Because I need a new one. Because this is not user error."
And it was like lifetime warranty. So I Googled it, and they're like, they won't replace that. Like, that's the one thing, because they're like, you fucked it up. I'm like, bro, really? Just
Oh
every
my God. Well, maybe this podcast episode will allow them to be like, wait, damage control.
Oh, absolutely.
And send you a new one.
Give me my.
Le Creuset stuff. Le Creuset stock's gonna plummet. This is basically whatever happened to Peloton in the Sex and the City reboot is what's gonna happen to Le Creuset on this podcast right now.
Wow.
Oh boy, the power.
Well, Rachel, thank you for kicking us off with a wonderful breath exercise and for joining us on the podcast. But let's dive into this discussion. This is what Youngmi and I want to know about you. You've always been an early adopter of internet trends and have shared many aspects of your life with the internet since the age of 17. And whether it's been in the form of blogging and then YouTube and other new media platforms like Slack, how has your relationship with the internet changed in recent times?
Oh man. Okay. Well, I mean, truly, it's ever evolving. The entity itself. So of course, my relationship with it has to change too, because we're both different peoples,
Right?
And
sure.
and then to have a good relationship with another entity, you have to kind of evolve with it. And like even before like sort of the more fashion realm, I was like, my relationship started with like Neopets and like pixel art, and like my first website was called like cineyum.org, where I like traded pixel art with other pixel artists and like made banners. And then I went into like Zanga, and then that's when I started Blogger, which is what I have, which is what that chic started under.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've changed so much since the pandemic, including the internet and how people use it. So I haven't quite found the words and like a strong enough structure to like really articulate my relationship with it now, but it's definitely moving forward in a way that feels less codependent, because I was a bit more codependent on it. And then it's funny, in my codependency, I created Ward, which is an online Slack community, because I really missed online forums. And before I started That Chic, a big part of like my sartorial curiosity was satiated through like forums, like the Fashion Spot.
Right.
And even when I was doing pixel art, there were forums about pixel art, and I was in them, but it was like the first time as like a 12, 13-year-old that I was exposed to like bigger conversations happening outside of a circle that I'm immediately available to access. So it was like the first time that like, I don't know, someone on the internet was like, yeah, wash your punani all the time. And I like learned that when I was 12, and I was like, no one would tell me that. Like my mom's not telling me that. So it's
Right.
like, I remember like absorbing pieces of information. I was like, holy shit, the internet's amazing. Like I can learn so much on this.
But sorry, but this is what I'm curious is, now it's not uncommon for everyone, the younger generation, to just document almost every minute of their life and just throw it up on the internet. It's like, it's not precious anymore. You don't have to like, it's like Instagram story. Here's my life. This is what I'm going on. This is where I am at. Like, let's just throw it up. But, when you started That Chic and on Blogger, that I don't think that type of relationship with the internet was as common. And were you, and I feel that did you know at that time that that's where the internet was headed, or like did people think it was strange at first that you were sharing so many facets of your life with the internet?
I was so embarrassed. Like I remember starting That Chic in high school, and like I remember my best friend, who I'm still best friends with today, could like attest for this and be like, wow, Rachel started a blog and it was so fucking weird, and she like kept it a secret. And it was true. Like if you were using the internet in a really earnest way back in the day, you were uncool.
Yeah.
Like if you are succeeding and earnestly good on the internet now, you're popular.
Right.
It's really fucking weird. So I mean, the only reason I was like able to get on the internet and like do it well was because I didn't have another outlet. Like my parents were super strict. Like didn't let me, they truly, like my dad was just so confused at the concept of friendship because he himself doesn't really have friends. So it's like, what? You want to go to the mall with why wouldn't you just do that with us? I'll take you to the mall. No, you don't need to see your friends. Like I'll take you to them. So it's like growing up with that and then like being like, well, fuck, I'm so extroverted. I am an extroverted person. And I've like really come to terms with that in my adult years. I'm like, oh yeah, that's... So like, no wonder I went to the internet, because it was like, oh, it was my metaverse. It was like this place that I could plug in and be like, oh, I could talk to you, and I could have different conversations simultaneously with 5 different people. And I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. Played World of Warcraft, had 2 level 60s, and I was like, just loved being an internet hoe on there. And so there was like one part of me, and then I like being the little fashion hoe, and then I like being like geeking out and like learning about things on forums. It's always been an amazing tool. So I like to think that, I mean, we're all kind of growing up on the internet, but I like to think that I grew up alongside the internet, like where we were both like finding our footing into like adulthood and,
So, you know what's like really fascinating about what you said? I feel like the number one thing is, I think a lot of us, even, I'm 37 and I started using the internet as like a 12-year-old, and I grew up with the internet, and I wasn't as online as some of my peers, but it was a big part of my like social interaction, like what you said, what you learned from the internet, and it like it like helped raise me in a lot of ways. And I think that's like a fascinating thing that a lot of people don't really think about. Do you know what I mean? It's such a big part, like nowadays, like what your punani story, like nowadays, like all these kids are learning everything from the internet, and it's like obviously a lot of it's good, a lot of it's very good. Like my son like knows all this random information, and I'm like, how did you? And he just like saw like a video, and now he knows that. And it'll be like super random stuff that we would never know as a kid, like when you bake muffins you need to put this much like, you know what I mean, like if you put this in then it won't work, like things like that. And I'm like, oh, that's like so cool. But I think that acknowledgement of how much the internet played a role in shaping us, right? Like parenting us.
I mean, still to this day, like I think TikTok has been like one of the most amazing platforms that like really has come up, and like it's, I mean, like people can really quickly judge TikTok because it can very seemingly be in a very toxic environment. But I think that the screen, this like black mirror that we're all 3 of us are all looking at right now, is it's a reflection of us. It's a reflection of like what we see, what we're interested in, what we're curious by. And I think that like I think algorithms have such a bad rap. But it's like, no, like have a good relationship with your algorithm. Train it to show you the things that you want, and have it be a reflection of your curiosity so that you can further like explore different things, and that you're not like going into algorithm world with like zero intention and just letting things wash over you. But like I love TikTok because every time I go on it, I'm like, hell yeah, I know how to cook that. And then I'm absorbing so much information that like, I'm essentially subconsciously developing all these tools that I don't even know I need. But then like the time I show up in the kitchen, I love to cook now because the pandemic made us all cook. Yeah. It's like all this information I know just suddenly has made me an intuitive cooker.
Yeah.
Being able to talk to people online, suddenly I'm much more intuitive about it because I suddenly have like absorbed all this language that has brought words to the things I'm trying to feel.
Right.
Because language has accelerated so fast because of like fast by internet content, even like relationship advice. So I don't know. Again, this is me like exploring things that people are easily judgmental of and breaking down stigmas and being like, well, what is my relationship with it? How do I feel about it? Not what someone's telling me how to feel, but like, what do I want out of this? Because it's not going away. And I definitely want to feel like I'm understanding of the world around me. And I think maybe there's a part of me for sure that feels afraid to be like, to be disconnected from like the world at large. So it's like, if this is going to continue to be a part of our lives, how do I have a really productive, healthy relationship with it that I'm not judging?
Right.
Because there's two different spectrums. There's people who really judge it, and there's people who are so plugged in but are like deeply unconscious about it.
Yeah, I really appreciate your perspective on this because I would put myself in the other camp as you, and I've talked about on this podcast before how the reason my dislike for algorithms is that, let's like TikTok for instance, I feel like it has a way of flattening the internet experience so that on a global scale everyone's sort of consuming the same types of information. And I really related to your early usage of the internet because, you know, growing up in Texas, I was a high school kid and I was really into fashion, but everyone made fun of me because it was quote unquote like very gay to be into fashion at that age. But then I would find like a blog like, oh wait, there's this Danish architecture student with a fashion blog. Like, he's cool. Like, see, they exist. But I feel that's more, it's more rare that I have those types of like experiences on the internet in 2022 where like I find like unique pockets that I can really deeply relate to. Because now like I feel like the algorithm has outsmarted me. It already
really?
It's beaten me to the punch. Yeah.
I have the opposite. I feel like my algorithm is so like fitted for me where it's like I thought you were going to say that the issue with the algorithm is that people live in their little bubbles now and they don't see anything besides that.
I also think that is
that's
also
I
think that's true too. Yeah.
But that's a good point about
I don't know, maybe
early
I'm just
internet.
not conscious about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that like there is possibility for that early internet feeling to come back.
Sure.
I definitely think TikTok honors that in a lot of ways because there's so like it's a space where and I don't post anything on TikTok. People ask me like, do I TikTok? I'm like, I will scroll through and like I love consuming, but I have yet to like think about if I want to participate in it.
Yeah.
But it is, yes, you do hit bubbles for sure of like feeling like you're in an echo chamber. But I think that's where it's nice to have the mindfulness to be like, okay, questioning what you consume. It's almost like we consume so much and it's like taking a break and being like, what did I learn today? And like, what did I watch that like really impacted me? And like, I actually like was having a conversation with my friends who like, we just like talk about TikTok all day long. I have like one group of friends that like I talk about TikTok with, and one of them actually works at TikTok. And then she was saying something like, well, what if like we all just took a pause and was like, what did I consume today? We're learning a lot right now. So like, how do you have comprehension of the things that you consume so that it doesn't feel mindless? Because you're training your brain to sort of have to put action to it, or she used a different word I'm forgetting.
No, but that makes sense.
I'm gonna think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also sorry, I have like so many questions here, but you know, Rachel, you strike me as like someone who's very mindful and very sincere, and I find that those qualities like very refreshing in this day and age, especially for people who are very internet savvy, because I feel that the internet now, just the general sentiment and people who are very online, sincerity isn't valued that much anymore. Like that's why we have things called like shit posting, and like there's so many like irony memes, and people are like inherently very cynical. Like how does that all sit with you and like the type of content that you like to produce and your type of consumption with the internet? And have you noticed this as well in your personal like relationship with the internet?
Oh my God, there's just so much to say about this. I mean, like, okay, just to give perspective, it's like once fashion blogging really became a big thing, the cool thing to do was take your outfit photos.
Right.
And then the cool thing to do after that was elevate your outfit photos, take them with like a nicer camera as the industry kept getting bigger, as people started pumping money and brands started pumping money into being like, oh, fashion bloggers, they wear clothes, they take photos of it. Let's give them clothes. Oh, suddenly let's pay to give them clothes. And then a big chunk of like my coming of age with the internet and internet coming of age was this heavy self-manufactured documentation that started to feel very fabricated. So I'm almost seeing like the evolution of how these different platforms have played and evolved with each other. So like there's individual blogging. You're on a website, you go to that website to consume this one person. Then Instagram became a platform where you're able to subscribe to a bunch of different people, see it on one feed, and that was very cool and new and refreshing.
Right.
But that mindset of like 7 years of doing that created this mentality of like, I need to produce pretty photos and manicure myself, because fashion at the time was like, you know, cool skinny bitches who like wore really high-end clothes that you couldn't afford. And it was like this performance into this like I don't know, fashion maven, which is so chuggy now, right? Like it's so chuggy to like even do that.
Right.
But I see people who I've kind of grown up in that industry with who are still doing that, and then complain about the algorithm not working in their favor. I'm like, but are you evolving? Are you evolving your content? You're still practicing the creation and creativity that you were doing 10 years ago. And after 7 years, to demand the attention, consistent attention, is something that really fucks with your brain, right?
Yep.
And if you're not mindful and aware of that to check yourself, you can easily fall down that rabbit hole. So I'm seeing that cyclicate all over again in TikTok, where you see someone who posts a really funny video,
and they keep
hits a trend, and they go, holy shit, I am being rewarded for this behavior. Therefore, I might keep doing it. And it is really sincere. And it is authentic, because they're just, for the first time, being themselves and getting this like beautiful reaction out of it. But with every sort of like feedback that you get, good and bad, it's all detrimental. All of it is detrimental. But people go, good feedback is good, I'm going to internalize that. But the second bad feedback comes, they don't know how to deal with that, because they've accepted all feedback as completely detrimental. So what ends up happening, and I'm seeing this with blogging and then Instagram, and I'm really seeing this with TikTok. It's so characterized. It's like a cartoon of like seeing how this is evolving, but like, this person hits a trend. Now they're performing into this. What happens is, and they don't know this yet. What happens is they're going to become a caricature of themselves. And then all of a sudden their longevity for like interest and attention pans out. And then they go, well, what the fuck?
Where's my audience?
This isn't new either. Where's my audience? This isn't new either. This is why like child actors from like way back when it was like really toxic environment, why they have those things. So it's like, it's all aligned of like what attention really does and how fucks up with your head, like these child actors. So like now these TikTok stars, and like literally every like platform in between has created like derivatives of this like
this problem
thing.
This problem that's now like accelerated. You know, the thing about the TikTok star and like how you're relating it to child stars, I totally understand what you mean. And I feel so bad because, you know, I'm like a professional comedian, and then I have this TikTok presence to sort of like supplement that like real career that I'm going after, right? And there are a lot of people that are just like living in the suburbs, doing a TikTok account, and a video blows up and it's funny, and they're like funny, and then they're caught in like what you explained, like this cycle of doing it over and over and over again to get like more followers. And then they have like, some of them have like millions of followers, but then it's like there's nothing market or nothing to do with that after that. Do you know what I mean? And I see a lot of these people get like caught and like I'll see somebody on TikTok did a funny video, and it's just somebody living in, you know, like Idaho, and then they kept doing it like for a year, and they have 5 million followers, but they're not a comedian. There's like, and there's nothing to go with. There's no career besides the internet. And there are people that are actually just internet comedians that have a full-blown, very successful, solid career from that. But they're like, their persona is like completely, what's it called? Like, solidified. It's not just like I said one thing and I'm going to do it every day for for 10 months. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it seems like a very confusing place for a lot of people to live. And I really like that child actor analogy, because, you know, we have heard this very ancient story of like the 1980s child actor, and he's like, that's me. Like he has this little catchphrase like, that's me. And then he just keeps going, that's me. And now he's like 35 and you're like, oh my God, this is so sad. And he's like, that's me. You know, like, and you're like, oh my God, please get another thing. I'm definitely, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And, you know, Rachel, it sounds like you've reached, for lack of a better term, like some sort of nirvana with your relation to the internet, because, you know, you very much like, no, like, I know it's so like corny.
You have
and
a deep,
cheesy.
deep understanding for sure.
Yeah, like I'm letting you know this as someone who has never posted a photo dump on Instagram. Still, this is so take that with a grain of salt, the language that I'm using. So, I say nirvana in the sense that, you know, you were in the rat race of the whole like internet cycle and like, you know, posting and blogging and making sure you were getting like lots of engagement with your posts. But then now, like it's like now you have this full overview and can predict patterns and understand the cyclical nature of the internet. So going forward, I guess, like, do you have like, do you have any projects with like that or in relation to the internet that you're currently excited about, or
I think I'm still like allowing myself to be curious about it, because I feel like what you just articulated, which is very generous, and thank you for saying that and seeing me, this reflection of the internet. I think I'm just finally putting words to it. And I think like definitely having these conversations helps me prompt a little bit more of like what I'm feeling. And probably I'll listen to this podcast episode a few times just to remind myself these like things I'm just blurting out, because I'm just talking. I'm not like thinking about what I'm saying.
Right.
So, and that's how I approach a lot of things, is like I just do things without attaching myself to an outcome. And like lately it's been like, you know what, like I love videos, but I burnt out on it because I started performing into an expectation of how people wanted to view me. So then now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna approach videos differently. I'm gonna edit things in a really weird way that I just like, and I'm gonna call it somatic editing. That's what I had to call it to myself for me to get into that zone of how to edit.
Right.
I have an online course. My friend Puno, who runs I Love Creatives, was like, how do you make videos? And I just started, you know, exactly what I did here, just started blurbing. And she's like, whoa. We got to package that. We got to package that. This is like such a great like tool for people to like, to take on and like make their own, which we have an online course now. So like we did a digital retreat. We do 2 a year where we like have students who take this course, and it's called video creating. Hold on. Shit. What is it called? The video creation course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Or / creative process. It's essentially my creative process.
Right.
And After we did a digital retreat, which was the first time we exposed the course, we did it for 6 weeks. Students logged in with us. And I went through my creative process. I walked through how I made a video with them. And ultimately, I talked to the students about intentionality. Why are you creating? What are you making? What are you, don't make things to make things cool. Make things because it's an expression. Express first. Anything else is a beautiful byproduct of that.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was like, and seeing what the students were making, I was like, holy fuck, like being a teacher is so rewarding. And like to call myself a teacher is a very generous term. I wouldn't necessarily call myself that.
No,
but
I think that's very accurate.
I don't know, but like being a part of someone's journey of like self-discovery and like kind of being like, these are things that I've learned along the way. And like, you like my videos? Well, this is why you might like the videos. It's because this is what I was thinking of when I made this video. Maybe that's why you're connecting to that like little seed I planted that's not very loud, but it's there. And it creates this like understanding of intentionality to end product to like how it lands on a person. So that's something I really like too. I don't know if I totally went off tangent there, but I'm gonna take a pause.
I really like how you express these things like about creating videos for the internet and these ways that make a lot of sense, just big picture, like you're saying, when you're creating something, it should come from a place of what you want to create instead of how you want it to be consumed. And I think that applies to any art, not, do you know what I mean? Like not just the internet. So I think that's a great lesson to teach.
Yeah. And I think it's just, we're going to see more of this going forward where
hopefully
there's going to be so many more classes in this vein where people are going to sign up for workshops and seminars on how to become better or just like more authentic internet and get like creators, because it's unavoidable. Like it permeates every facet of society, like and in business, and everyone in essence like has a relationship to the internet in some way, shape, or form. And who knows, maybe in the future it's like gonna be everyone, because it's not like I see doctors on TikTok now.
Yeah,
and
it is everyone already.
They create these personas to like leverage their business, you know.
Yeah, and I think there's really nothing wrong with that.
No,
and I think it's a beautiful way that like how we are sharing ourselves is evolving, and I think storytelling is extremely important, because without storytelling we don't feel diversity.
Yeah.
And storytelling allows diversity. The problem that most people judge is the intentionality. That's where it gets really convoluted. That's where it gets muddy, because you're like, what are you doing? What's the agency here? And that's why I try to break, and that's what makes an authentic creator. It's like someone who's just making things for themselves and thinking for themselves. But I mean, to your point, like, actually, I just worked on a consulting gig like a couple of months ago. I don't think I can say the brand, but it's it's a very big brand, and I think we all, everybody who's even listening, definitely has owned a piece of
it's
this
Le
brand at some
Creuset.
point.
Just kidding.
Maybe.
Just kidding.
Big brand. I mean, I'll tell you guys, but just don't air it. It was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this brand essentially like hired me on as a consultant to help their onboarding talents to be faces of the brand, to like tell brand stories in their own way. And I was hired to help them do it authentically, to talk to each of these personalities and be like, get a little bit of understanding of their story and being like, okay, like this is maybe like, this is how you can share this in this way. Like maybe if you want to film it, grab the camcorder and just leave it there. Let your camera be an ambient eye to your existence. Do not acknowledge the camera. And just like see how that feels. So like I was kind of coaching people on how to like approach self-documentation in an authentic way.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
so
sick.
I mean, like you said, like there's definitely room for that in the near future.
Yeah.
Such a weird job I did.
I think that it's
No, that
like,
sounds awesome though. It's so cool.
But the interesting thing about you, and like I think what you are recognizing that people are just, some people are just not understanding, is like you're like, hey, to like make a successful post online or be successful online, you're just like tapping into like yourself and you can't really fake that. Because I feel like the thing is, I hear a lot of people that talk about the internet strategically. They're like, how do I get 100,000 followers? What do I have to do? Do I have to make this video or a dance? And it's like, no, because that doesn't make sense for you. And they're trying so hard to gain this following online, and they're not understanding that it is in a way like you're, not to make it sound bad, and I don't mean this in a bad way, you're selling like an image, and people are going to understand if that image is like phony. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you can't just you can't
fabrications.
Trick people into following you. You can't like scam. You can, but it's just not gonna feel like.
You didn't have to go so hard on me, Youngwing. Holy
no,
shit!
Stop, Brian. Stop. You're not. I feel like you're the opposite of Brian's. Just like, I'm gonna post a picture and this is me. Like, there's beauty to that.
We love that in this house.
Yeah, we love that, Brian.
Thank you. My manager hates that.
Well, your manager needs to maybe take my course, so.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, should we jump into the next section of our podcast? Let's do it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I want to get right to
right.
it. I'm excited for your answers.
Let's do it. Okay, well, thanks for giving us a little crash course 101 on how to be our best authentic selves on the internet. I have so many notes, so listeners, remember, this is the pre-Rachel Nguyen era and the post-Rachel Nguyen era of myself on social media. And there's going to be a stark difference.
Mark's Brian's.
Yeah. What an honor.
But Rachel, we're going to dive into the next section of our podcast, and what we want to know is, what is something you're loving right now?
Gosh. What am I loving? I know you guys sent all these questions ahead of time, and like I thought about like writing out my answers, and then I was like, no, I'm just gonna like wing it.
No, good. We love
take
that.
some nootropics and wing it. I'm plugged in, baby.
I'm plugged in. What do I love right now? I love psychedelics.
Yes, me too.
Ooh.
I'm loving oh my God. I mean, it's so hard to articulate what I'm loving right now because it is such a big feeling that I have. But like, God, I'm going to sound like such a simp right now, but I'm just going to go for it. Like, the thing that like I love so much right now is being in this partnership that I've been in for a year. And it's been like truly one of the most evolving experiences of my life. And I'm really careful to talk about my love life publicly, but I'm approaching this conversation as this part of my life is truly an experience. It's one of the most beautiful experiences to have when you are able to trust somebody so vulnerably and know that, and like get to know each other at the quickest speed with like such ease. And that's something I'm loving right now. And I think I have so daily, weekly, monthly, these like epiphanies of just how to exist with another person, how to exist in the world, just because these conversations that him and I have. And it's just something I love right now. I love having someone to challenge my thoughts and feed into it and support curiosities, and therefore has made me an even more curious person. And for that has filtered out my lens of the world completely, of like, who are the curious heads, and meeting curious heads. And suddenly when you see things through a different lens, what comes to you is completely rewarding. The better you're able to I don't know, I guess kind of decipher things that are coming at you, because there's things coming at you all day long. You're marketed to all the time. Like, people want things from you. People are telling you how to do things. People are telling you how to feel. And being able to discern through that, because your lens is so strong, especially because you have somebody to soundboard that off with, is one of the most spiritual experiences I've ever had. It like, I don't know. That's what I love right now.
You love
Oh,
being in
I love love.
Yeah.
And I
What a
love
great
love.
answer.
I love,
great.
I
That's
love
a
the
great
world right now. And I love sharpening my curiosity. That's what I love.
That's so great.
yeah.
That's like such a positive, like that's such a great answer. I feel like people have
I love
taken
it.
that question very lightly, and we just got like a real deep one. I love it.
I love it.
Ooh.
And I like, you know
I'm
what
just so deep right now.
I love it. No, you know what I like how you said that your partner is challenging you. I think that is a very interesting trait to be happy about in a partner, because like that's like something that you don't really hear that much, right? But that's like, you love that about this person.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Like, even when I told him, I was like, I'm going to go on a podcast. He's like, think about how you want people to think about you. Just think about that. And he's like, and just like, that will give you leverage to feel confident in what you're talking about. And I was like, okay. And that was a challenge for me. And I sat in that challenge for a couple of days, and I was like, okay, I feel good now, you know? But that was like my homework for this.
You're like, I like that my partner gives me homework.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've never actually said homework, so he might be listening to this and be like, that wasn't really homework, but sure.
No, that's like, I really think that's an interesting way that you, because you know, like there are different reasons why people like there are different romantic partners, and that's like a very interesting thing. Like for you, that's like a big part of why you're so like in love with this person, and that I think that's like really great, and it's like really interesting to hear that. I like in a partner somebody that just doesn't say anything ever, and then just carries all the heavy stuff, you know, opens all the jars, and then just shuts.
That is
the
really
fuck
nice
up
too.
Forever.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because I had that as like a joke for a while, and then one day my mom was like, you know what's the best kind of man? When they don't talk and they carry the heavy things. And I was like, that's my joke, Mom. Like, what? It's the opposite of my dad.
Rachel, conversely, what is something that you're hating right now?
Judgment. I hate just judgment in general. I'm like realizing that like shame and judgment is one of the worst. It's the pandemic. The pandemic is us judging. It's judgment.
Oh, yeah.
Because when we judge ourselves, we're judging our true inhibitions to be authentic. And then when we judge ourselves, we then start judging other people because we ourselves are not happy with ourselves. We're judging ourselves. Therefore, it makes it easier to be like expressing that like really negative feeling outwardly and being like judging other people and being like, I don't like this. And then when you're judging other people, there's someone else receiving that judgment. Someone else receiving that judgment. No one likes to be judged, right? Like everyone wants to be seen wholly and be understood. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be understood. That's like one of the best like mantras that we can all think of as like a collective consciousness is like, we all want to be seen. Everybody does. Understanding that colors the lens a little bit better when you like operate in the world and just go, you know what? This person's having a bad day. I see this person. They're not a bad person. They're just having a bad day. This person's thought and viewpoints, they're getting really defensive about it, but that's because they were always challenged about it. They felt judged by it. And then when we receive judgment, that becomes shame. And then that starts to internalize. And we are just in this very like toxic, we're all like in this really toxic cycle of like judging ourselves, then judging other people, then receiving judgment from others because there's so much of it outside of us. And everyone's so angry all the time. And we have a lot of things to change. We have a lot of things to overcome. And I don't think that having a positive lens on the world at large, despite how broken it is, means that means that it's like offsetting or that I don't care. But it's how do I have productiveness? How do I move things forward, not judge it and hold it back?
Right.
I want to with that, when judgment is present, it prevents things from moving forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment is a big block.
Yeah.
So talks about progressive anything that we all need right now.
Yeah.
Talks about progressive woke thinking. Requires less judgment and more empathy
and understanding
to like really move things forward and like understand. There's a lot to fight about, but you cannot get to the other side of thinking if you're not empathetic with it to understand. I see how you think that, and I hear you, and I see it. Let's try to compromise.
Yeah,
because this is how I feel, and I'm not going to challenge your thoughts. I'm not going to challenge what you grew up with. But I'm going to help you see my side, and I think that this part is going to be productive for all of us. And I think when we start talking like that, that's where real change happens. But like, we're always judging instead. We choose to judge, and that's not productive. It makes me so upset. That's what I hate right now.
Right. No, I love that answer. I love that response. I mean, especially now, and thanks in part to the internet, like everything is so polarized, and no one really wants to sit down and be empathetic and have difficult discussions because it's very binary now, in my opinion, where it's like, you don't agree with me? Well, then fuck off. Like, you're wrong. I'm going to go hide into my section of my algorithm that only is going to reaffirm whatever I believe in. And yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I admit I can be pretty judgmental, but if I take a moment to examine where that's coming from, it's 99% of the time it's always comes from a place. It's an aspect of myself that I don't like that I'm just like projecting onto other people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to call you out, bro.
It's all good.
I also feel like, well, that's like a natural, I think that's just a natural mechanism. Like, you know, you do it to other people so you don't, because like you see the internet mob and they're like, look at that guy, that one person is racist, not me. Like, you know, and it's like, you're not even like introspective enough to realize it's all of us. But I really like your point about it being like, being like empathetic to the other side to get to a resolution. It's not like you're trying to be like, this guy sucks and I'm gonna like be nice to him. You're trying to resolve the issue, because if you're not like empathetic, you're never gonna get there.
Right. And I think people are might think that like me like empathizing with the other side means that you agree with them, and that's not true.
No,
No.
No.
And I think that's a big deciphering thing. And I also want to point out too that like me talking about this is me practicing it.
Right.
It's not me feeling like I'm good at it.
No,
but it's something I think about often, and I'm constantly like practicing it, and I'm like checking myself when I get a gut reaction where I want to like be defensive and be like, wait. I'm feeling defensive right now because there's something in between us, or in myself, between me and the outside world, between me and another person. And it probably is, there's layers of shame. There's probably judgment somewhere in there. And I'm like, what is that before I move forward so I can have a thoughtful answer? Yeah. And something I love, this saying that's like, I didn't have enough time to write you a short letter.
Yeah, I love that approach.
Like, sorry this was so long. I didn't have enough time to write a short letter. Like, I love that because it does require like time to create thoughtful answers.
Yeah.
I love that introspective way that you view that. I love it when somebody says, I see this issue, and then they're also like, by the way, I know that I also am a part, you know, I'm also working on it. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of people talk about it like it's over there. Do you know what I mean? But you're like, no, I'm also saying I'm working on it. That's great.
Yeah, I think we're all going to work. We all have to work on it. And like, hopefully in 3 generations from now, like as we all work on it, it becomes more baked into like the way we exist, especially as we talk about it more, especially as we all practice it more and become mindful of it and check each other. And like that's the world I want to live in. So that's the world I'm going to talk about until it manifests. But I know now that that's not the reality. And I know now that it's difficult to practice that.
Well, hopefully there's a world in 3 generations for that to be practiced on. The global warming. Hopefully.
True.
Oh, and so the next question, we listeners, we hide this answer behind the Patreon paywall. If you want to listen to Rachel's answer to what is something that you're ashamed of, please go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/feelingasian and subscribe to hear her answer. Without further ado, though, Rachel, what is something that you're ashamed of?
Well, Rachel, thanks for being so vulnerable and experiencing all of this with us. But we're at the end of this podcast, and we want to leave you with one last question that we like to ask all of our guests, and that is, what is something you're proud of?
I'm proud of this conversation. All right. I just said it. I was like, I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud to be a part of this. I'm proud of, I am proud of this conversation that we just had. I think it's beautiful, and I think it was productive, and it got me thinking, and I'll be proud to like share it with people because these are things that I've had brewing in my mind, but like have yet to like export it out of myself to this screen, but like maybe to like partners and friends. But I think I'm really proud of this last 2 hours we had together.
Thank you. I also feel like a lot of times the guests that we have on the podcast, we'll have a conversation and they will say something like that. They're like, well, like I never get to talk about stuff like this, and I think it's a great place, and I'm really happy when we have guests on and they share their experiences, and they're like, wow, I like this is like all the stuff that I really wanted to get off my chest, and I'm really glad to have space to say it. But it's also interesting, like, because we could just have these conversations in real life. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, why don't I have this conversation with my friends? Like, these are things that I'm like interested in talking about. So yeah, it's an interesting practice. Where can we find you on the internet? Where can our listeners find you?
Okay. I have a YouTube channel, which I haven't been posting as much. I have so many places to find me. Okay, so I have a YouTube channel, but go through my old stuff, I guess. I'm not that person as much anymore, but like I keep evolving. I have an online class I have an online class with I Love Creative. So I have a course out if you guys want to take that. I have an online community called Ward. It's on Slack. And then I guess like in the DMs on Instagram at That Chic. So yeah, a lot of different ways to interact and get involved with me.
Amazing.
DMs.
And
I guess.
What about you, Youngmi?
YM Mayer on social media and Youngmi Mayer on TikTok. How about you, Brian?
You guys can find me on socials at It's Brian Park, and follow our podcast on socials at Feeling Asian Podcast. And thanks for listening.
And the Patreon.
And the Patreon. Patreon.com/Feeling Asian.
And your live shows. Where do we find out about them?
On our website. Well, hopefully by the time this episode comes out, our website will be up. But feelingasianpodcast.com. Check it out.
Sick.
Yeah.
Or I think it's feelingasian.com. We bought both.
Oh, yeah, it's feelingasian.com. That's the more valuable.
I like
IP
that.
there.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
get rid of the podcast part because it just gives you more room to play.
There you go. The internet person herself. Yeah.
We got to change let's change our IG handle to Feeling Asian.
Yeah. This is like
unless Rachel snipes it and then charges us $100,000 to buy back the handle.
Not a bad idea.
This is like the scene in the Facebook movie where isn't it Justin Bieber? Or not Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake. He's like, it's just Facebook. Drop the. It's like
drop the
Rachel
podcast. Drop the podcast.
Like,
just
podcast.
Feeling
It's
Asian.
just feeling
it's
Asian.
Cleaner.
Feeling Asian. I'm feeling Asian as fuck right now when I go make Asian food.
Love it. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Thank you.